Welcome back to my lovely HP community and the 5D collective. All of those who are here being our lovely, genuine, true self, all healed and or healing. And we have some conversation when it comes to feminine, masculine. And so, as a 5D mystic, in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, a divine feminine of my oversoul, divine, not divine, doesn't matter, but since I talk about the brain with the masculine being the left mode and the feminine the right mode, I add also divine feminine for the heart and body and divine masculine for the mind, integrated minds, living mindfulness, mindset, and mindset. Okay, and so right now though, we're talking about feminine, masculine, energetic imprint. I'm a feminine of my oversoul, and I'm a feminine even without the mystic stuff. And a person who's a masculine, they will know, doesn't have to be gender specific, but there is an energetic imprint to it. So I'm going to be bringing in spirituality, and sciences as always, the human elements, and the pseudoscience lady, woo-woo, yes, spiritual. It's not crap, it's helpful to those who want to be their self and not show yourself. No, not that way. So the 5D collective, we have healthy self-worth, and we don't do the venomous snakes that are on screen telling people how to live life without doing good therapy. So when you have dangers of no motion, that's a bullshit statement. When you see someone saying that non-reactivity is not necessarily health or enlightenment, no, non-reactivity is health and enlightenment, because it means you know how to self-regulate to the extent of what mindfulness lady here does. Zen master with laundry doesn't do it, okay? But those of us who embody the restorative embodiment self and are aware, accountable, regulating, we can tell you, some of us are mystics, some are not, how amazing it is to be in the flow state. So, okay, that's where 5D frequency is at. And so what 4D and 3D are, mean girls with squirrel attitude from Cusco with Yzma, and Cusco without him becoming awakened to the asshole that he is. And that's because he didn't know about his need for Dr. Daniel Fox, Siegel, and da-da. But then he becomes aware and he goes and heals, and he becomes, thank you, Patrick Tiahan, a person who continues, like Patrick Tiahan, to work with undoing the unkind business that was brought about by the childhood trauma stuff. So we get a Diego who is with a Manny and a Sid that's going to, though, become a Pacha from Cusco, land of the Emperor's New Groove. So we have new stories, healing trauma, it's all healthy others. So we don't do reactivity. We are embodying and very happy to be able to be non-reactive and provide others the opportunity to welcome a fragment and more of their self back home, and to lead themselves to be healed, because they are working to get out of all of the maladaptive drinking, drugging, fucking business, and to be healthy. So they're going to be okay with people who don't know their side of the story, and they are going to know that they don't need to prove anything. So they're going to stand down and learn how to continue to be non-reactive, because they're going to see, soothe, safe, secure their own inner child and become an adult, and they will know how to handle Diego's family and Stromboli and Pinocchio on the island, and anyone who wants to quote unquote bring them down the path that is of lust, yucky energy, shame cycle business, fucking each other, re-traumatizing each other, and continuing to talk about Lucifer and boring stuff like that, versus be with the intelligent, physical, emotional, mental people who know how to use our mind wisely, because we are playful, because we're curious when the storm hits. Why? Because whether you're feminine or masculine, that's what happens when you know self-soothing and self-regulation in a healthy way, because you have self-compassion and not, I'm toxic, you're toxic, none of that. Okay, so the 4D energy and the 3D, they don't like people like me. In fact, they will do one of two things when they meet people like me. And really, it's in the energy sphere. They're envious, jealous, spiteful, copycats. And when they're not successful at feeling happy, they get even more upset. And that's why the therapists would be really great, because they would have their feelings explained to them, and then they can work with a person like Janina Fisher to get out of it completely. And Patrick Tiahan. So if you have good therapists, you get out of all that unkind emotional business, because you don't shame yourself, You understand your nervous system. You go and you share in a safe space, and then you also take ownership and you stop projecting, oh, that lady, she's a bitch. She looked at me weird. And you stop being Mean Girls from Mean Girls or Hangover. Some people are like, but I don't want that. I really like to be catty and an asshole, quote unquote. There's your 43D and why we have fancy man and woman in suit. Anyone who wants to stay in that energy and feel that way and have inner critic and outer critic and then make up bullshit stories. I'm a Chandler. I'm for God. I'm here. I'm doing this. So anytime you see somebody who doesn't know how to love all people yet, from here, you'll know that they're 3D, 4D. Emotional neglect is usually the result of parents who are unavailable, critical, who believe the child should raise themselves. Traumatic neglect involves fear and threat. Janina Fisher, PhD. So the mind of the wise ones who can see clearly, those are the people that I'm sharing with today, and in general, healthy boundaries. We know how to transmute emotional stuff, and we know how to have a good time. So that's why the ones who come on over here, they're ready to be alive and disengage from any of that pseudo-alive business, which is what's perpetuated instead for the ones who need. No, they don't need it. They just love small energy. So that's how narrow states of consciousness do life. They stay beneath the neutrality belt, and they don't take and access their higher self with aliveness. They actively access their amygdala and nightmare stories, and they continue with it because, that's how they decide. I'm looking for a chart. 1 minute. So it's unfair anger, and that's where they want to stay from the Cusco land. But in the end, all that is at the very bottom is fear. I can't do it. I'm not worthy. I'm not great. It's my fault. Guilt. And I'm broken. Shame. And that's why the lady that tells us, women, make sure if they fuck you, just remember, I already know what you're thinking. Don't think it. Wedding bells. Nobody's thinking it, lady. Only you are, and the other women who are helpless and hopeless and didn't go to therapy to learn how to get those helpless, hopeless feelings out of the way and get into a secure attachment 1-year-old. Not kidding with y'all right now. So when I was in college, I met women and men that were lonely. Are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? Da, 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 da. But it wasn't even that great of a song. It was, I feel more lonely than I did before I fucked. Okay, well, stop. Well, no. Yes. Means that there was nothing that was meaningful for you if you feel worse. Okay, so as our lovely Michael Jordan says, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen. That's what healthy self-worth. We don't do any fucking business, by the way, with shame, and none of let me look to the past and regret whatever choices I've made. You will learn and expand. That's for the empowered individuals out there. Okay, so with that, feminines and masculines that are authentic and have self-worth, they're going to be with people who do know how to love and live life this way of aliveness. And it's really fun because life's too short to spend it with people who choose fear and to stay in their visceral lower energies alone, the lower chakras without the higher. Basically, you might as well be in prehistory, and that's why 3D, 4D, they support dysregulated life, unhealthy lifestyle, and they are living a biochemistry of fear, and their brainstem is what they're leading with, which is why they think it's unfair. Why are they getting all the attention? They're not pretty, they're not smart, they're not whatever it is. So, okay, now let's get back to our topic at hand. Hesketh Pearson. A man's character never changes radically from youth to old age. What happens is that circumstances bring out characteristics which have not been obvious to the superficial observer. So obviously this is why some people say nobody changes, everybody changes. Okay, so we have a foundation is how I'm going to bring it to you, and that's where your whole 3-year-old heart, your youth, if you have a self that is whole, you'll know what I know about life. It's a gift, it's a miracle, you'll know it from here. If you have a 3-year-old that was broken, but you healed it, you'll know my story is a little bit different, but I'm here too now because I love to be this and flubber. I like to have fun with people. So it's once you are curious and you're okay with the world being the way it is, that you're going to know 5D frequency, because you're not going to harp that human suffering love horn. You're going to seek to be with people who are fun, who get to be their self, they're speaking a truth, they have self-mastery, they have integrity, we talked about that, and they move into living life alive, lively, not fearfully. The capacity for feminine is to consistently recognize those who are authentic and those who are not, of feminines and masculines, when you're embodying your whole self. So for me, it's a good gut, as you've been hearing. And the feminine does have the desire as well as the need to be with healthy masculines, which we're going to get to in our next episode. I'm going to pause this one so that you can have some time to simulate it. If you want, you go tune into our other episode, and then you can come back, and we'll be, again, back here to hone in on the feminine component as an embodied feminine, so that I can share some stories as well. Thank you for stopping by. If you do not come back, like, share, and subscribe. It'll help the channel grow. And if you want mentorship, 1-to-1 is available, limited number. Masterclass is in the work, limited number, and our spiritual retreat. So email me, and we'll be back again in a little bit.